Hello, I'm Ben from Walford Weekly, and this week I'm going to be taking a look back at one of the first times that EastEnders tried its hand at experimenting with the way that the storylines were told, using a flashback and even a caption at the bottom of the screen. Way back when, in 1990, the Butcher family were well embedded into Walford, and they were one of the biggest hits since the show started 5 years earlier. And one teenage girl called Diane Butcher had her biggest storyline yet, by being off the screens for 3 whole months after running away from home on her birthday. Ricky and Diane were introduced to the show in 1988, and they quickly became fan favourites. But by 1990, we had a new producer brought onto the show who totally changed the way that EastEnders was filmed, scripted and planned. And he wanted to make the show feel more like a real, breathing world of London. This is where he introduced the concept of more on-location filming. And the first storyline he chose was Diane running away from home. After being off screen for nearly 3 months, we get to an episode where Frank has had a call from Diane to say that she's ready to see him again and come home. We get our first look at how Diane has changed in the 3 months off screen. Let's see now. Yep, she's got new slick back hair, very dry lips, she's got an injury on her foot. Oh, and she also smokes now. How edgy. We then get an EastEnders first, where we see a caption come on the screen saying 3 months ago, as it fades to a clean and innocent Diane Butcher on the night of her birthday when she ran away. See, John Sen wasn't the first one to do it. We quickly get the idea of what Diane has been living through, with shots of London at night, Diane sleeping rough, still in her red birthday dress. The show does a really good job of showing us the quick decline that living on the streets has on you, by having Diane in a cafe showing off as she has 5 cups of coffee as a newly homeless girl with cash, compared to the group of teenagers we see getting thrown out as they've got no money to buy anything and they aren't welcome because they just don't look right. There are lots of hints through the episodes as we slowly see Diane notice how privileged she really was at home. She starts off as almost looking down on the other group sleeping rough and makes up stories about having a job and doing fine.
Where? I'm not telling you. It's alright. Well, this is not my style anyway. Huh? What you got lined up? A spring divan on the embankment? No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. Yeah, well, don't get snotty with me. I was just trying to be nice.
We then get introduced to Deezer and the others who befriend Diane. And, yep, you might even notice a very young Jake Wood at the table playing Jackson.
It's alright, I'm paying.
Diane wins the trust of this group by offering to pay for the meal, but she soon realises, after they run out, that she's going to have to leg it too, and thus now being accepted into the folds of the group once and for all. As Diane spends the first night with the group, she learns some of the different ways that they have to make money. This boy here, who's being looked down on by Jackson, for example, is sleeping with men for money, which Jackson does not approve of.
You're sick, man. Shut up.
We then see Diane start to shoplift and beg for money on the streets. Diane then gets caught trying to leave the cafe without paying, something that she's gotten away with one too many times.
Not this time. Yeah! Call the police!
Also notice that Goody Two-Shoes Diane is now smoking, after turning down those cigarettes and looking her nose down on people who smoke earlier in the episode.
Sick? No thanks, I don't. Good girl.
There's a wonderful bit of continuity here where Diane makes a phone call to the Vic asking Sharon if she can speak to Frank. Now this was something that was shown on an episode 3 months ago. Now that is what I call forward planning.
Frank, come quick, it's Diane. She's on the phone at the Vic, she wants to talk to you.
We then get a quick scene in present day where Diane sees Frank for the first time and she ends up mimicking him smoking. Stress can do that to you, you know. Diane is now shown somehow getting a tattoo, even though she hasn't got any money. This isn't ever explained, but I guess from all the things that they've mentioned in the past about how to get money, we don't really need to look too deeply into maybe how it was paid for. Or maybe when it was finished, she just ran away. That old trick. Now, the two of them are firm friends and they start planning and dreaming of their future, moving into a flat and earning money, having a happy life. It's almost like this dreamlike fantasy is these girls' only escape from the harsh world that they found themselves in. Again, this comes across as really relatable. I mean, how many times in the past did you sit down with your group of friends and think, you know, we can get a flat, it'll be easy. Oh, and then the harsh realities of life actually hit you in the face. We now get a scene of a photographer taking photos of the group for cash. This again comes into play later on in the show with a storyline stemming from it. Along with Deeza's backstory and her pregnancy, this really shows how much thought and care was put into the stories back then. There was so much aftermath from Diane running away, and to me, that's when EastEnders is at its best. All you have to do is take a look at the Beck's running away storyline from 2019, which was over and finished with within a week and then never mentioned again. That's not EastEnders at its best. Deezer warns Diane of going off with men, saying that if you ever do that, that's a road that you could never come back from.
Start going down that road, then that's it.
We go back to the present day again, briefly, just as Diane plucks up the courage to come face to face with Frank. But Frank, after speaking to Pat,
Can't wait there forever, love.
has decided to turn in and go back home, but not before having that one last look over his shoulder for his daughter, only to see a shell of what he remembers staring right back at him.
What if I did go with a bloke? Don't tell me you never have.
Not for money, I haven't.
We soon get taken back down to earth with the realisation that Deezer is now sleeping with men for money. This is the moment where that fantasy dream that they talked about before becomes reality. When Deezer gets Diane involved with a man who they plan to grab the money and then run away from. Of course, Diane, being new to how this works, ends up being a bit too slow and gets locked in the car and gets driven away before Deezer can save her. We get a real look here now at how Diane has gone from the new girl on the block to fitting right into this new life as a hardened, more streetwise girl. We learn that Diane stayed with this man for a week, modelling, but she says she didn't sleep with him for money.
We're both in the same boat now.
What?
Well, you did what I did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I didn't do it for the money.
We get a mention of Deezer and Diane's dream again of their own flat, but this time the spark seems to have disappeared and that fantasy has kind of settled into a, this is never going to happen, is it?
What we really need is our own place.
Frank has taken Diane back to Walford for the first time, and poor old Frank is trying his hardest to keep Diane happy, but anything he does or says seems to upset her more. This moment again feels so real of Diane coming home for the first time. Frank tells Pat to go inside and not make a scene to scare Diane off. When we're inside, Frank mentions that her room is exactly how she left it with all her birthday presents in there. We get a look at Pat and Mo keeping busy in the kitchen, washing up.
Oh, I wish I was in there, I know, Frank. What's that mean? Hope he ain't blowing it.
And then a nice moment with Diane and Ricky just trying to act like nothing has happened and just be a brother for her.
Yeah, you ain't opened your presents.
The whole thing is played out so well, and it's just given so much time to sort of breathe and just happen naturally. Diane finally opens up to Frank and tells him the reason that she left because he, as a father, was suffocating her, and that he needs to stop seeing her as his young girl because she's not that anymore. I mean, come on, she does smoke.
Have you got a cigarette I can have, please?
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. By the looks of you, cigarette's not the only thing you could do with, love.
Back on the streets again now for the final look at what brought Diane home. She's saying no to men, she's getting no money from begging, and sleeping in boxes with a group of friends that have slowly moved on one by one. She really is alone now, only to come across Deezer once more, who has been beaten up.
What happened?
I had an accident. Come on.
Let me help you up.
No, not that arm. It hurts. Come on.
We now see Diane making that call for Frank to come home after Deezer told her that it's not worth staying on the streets. What she had at home was good.
What are you doing here? You don't need this. Why don't you go back home?
I can't do that. I can't.
Look, I'm the one that can't go back. Do you think I'd still be here if I could?
She's currently staying in a hostel with older homeless women, and I think this is the moment where Diane kind of realises if she stays now, the woman that she's looking at is going to be her in a few years. With a wound to her foot and an infected cut on her lip, she makes the call to come home, bringing the whole thing full circle again. The episode ends with Diane and Ricky acting like normal brother and sister again, and Frank's family finally seems to be complete. Of course, with one of the darkest weeks in EastEnders history to date, it can't end on a high. And we then get a shot of that man who Diane stayed with for a week, turn up outside her house. On the whole, I actually find this week of episodes some of the best in EastEnders history. The show, in 1989, was full of bad comedy and really slow plots and, yes, low ratings, and having this dark, gritty, realistic slap in the face was kind of what it needed at the time. And choosing Diane to front this was such a brilliant choice. The character of Diane is one of my all-time favourites, and this homeless storyline really did change the character for good going forwards. She became more caring and more independent, and also a bit more artistic. The reality of homelessness in the UK at the time was at an all-time high, and I think the show did a great job at showing you exactly what it would be like sleeping on the streets for real. They didn't shy away from anything of the realities.
Have you heard about Steeple?
What about it?
Or Ramon?
What for?
Stabbed some bloke.
The introduction of the group of friends, with all their own reasons for why they left home, really helped round this off as well. And the story of Deezer, which is something I might cover in a future video, is probably one of the darkest storylines I've ever seen on the show. And they had no fear of tackling it. Also, it involved Doc Cotton taking on a police standoff, so what more could you want? The fact that so many future storylines came from Diane's choice to run away just shows how much love and thought was for this show. If you haven't already, I would highly recommend you watch these 2 episodes from 1990. And when you have, please let me know what you thought of them in the comments below. If you're still watching right to the end, thank you for listening to this. And if you've enjoyed it, we've got loads more reviews of past episodes here. I promise they're not all as dark and gritty as this one. And if you've got suggestions on future episodes you'd like me to cover, comment them below, because I love taking your ideas. Thanks for watching.